This blows my mind that money is one of the top things that cause people anxiety, depression, to get triggered, to get dysregulated, disoriented, to make people end up getting physically sick. I mean, there are so many studies on this, and it ranks at the top of the list. And likely you're nodding your head like, absolutely, absolutely. That's it for me. That's it for me. And I'm outing myself as well earlier on in my life. Yet, how many people invest money in healing those money wounds, in healing the infections that are continuing to cost them so much in their life, not just monetarily, but rob you of your joy, rob you of having an abundant, pure, free, delightful life. The cost factor that is involved for not addressing and healing the money noise going on in your brain, in my opinion, is the biggest cost over an entire lifetime, more than anything else, because it impacts everything. You'll stay in relationships way past the expiration date because of it. You will not go after your dreams as fast as maybe you would, or if at all. You'll have unmet dreams, unmet visions for yourself because of fear of it not working, fear of spending money, fear of taking the risk. You'll end up staying in jobs that are soul sucking. It's something I did. So I have my hand up over here on ProjectME TV on YouTube. Stayed way too long because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to do it. And what if I screwed up? And then I'd have a gap on my resume. And then what am I going to do? Because I've created a lifestyle that I already like. And if I can't afford it, and then I'll lose it all, blah, 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 blah. I find it fascinating. But the great news is you've got me. And this series is a perfect place for you to start. We're on part 3. If you're just landing on the series, don't feel like you have to start at part 1. I don't have these in any particular order, but you do need to listen to all 4 parts of the series, because I've determined over the course of 5 years working with thousands and thousands of people and studying this, that there are 4 childhood money imprints that are impacting you financially today. And this is what they're rooted in. So that's why you've got to listen to all 4. Today's focus is going to be on the anxiously abundant imprint. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash making advice. Now let's get to it. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. I need to make sure you know something so that no one comes for me later and says that I did not give you a straight up warning. So my once a year live in-person event, we're about to open the registration for it. It's October 1st and 2nd here in Manhattan Beach, California. Last year, this sold out in under a week. So if you want to make sure that you do not miss this, and I already have private clients of mine that are already taking up some of the spots. So I think what we're going for is a max of 30 people. I mean, that's probably as many as you crazy asses that we can wrangle and manage. So there's already 5 of those spots that are claimed for by private clients, because they do get honorably so like first dibs. And then my posse members are also going to get like that next layer of first dibs on the spots. So if you want to make sure you get in early, you've got to be on my VIP list, my secret posse weekly digest. All right. And it's free to be on this list. You get exclusive content from me that really should be members only content. So it's manifestation exercises, tips, personal stories from me, behind the scenes stuff. And you can get on that by going to projectmewithtiffany.com/secret posse. Swipe up. It's in the show notes. It's on the description here on YouTube, on Project Me TV. It's also in the link in bio on my TikTok and Instagram. And that's at Project Me with Tiffany. You need to be following me on both the talk and Instagram, completely separate pieces of content, but both of them go together in order to have you monetize your gifts, passions, and talents online so you can be financially free and live your most abundant life doing something you love while serving others. There is no better feeling. I've got to give a special shout out before we get into part 3 today. Those of you who are watching me on Project Me TV can see my hat. It is a purple hat with fuzzy letters that say ZFG. And my listeners know it's zero fucks given. And it's perfection. And one of our lovely listeners, one of my posse members, has sent a card, and I'm showing it on YouTube. I'm going to read it to you guys because she fucking deserves it and delighted my entire week. And I've been really late on opening any of the press packages I get, any of the letters and stuff that you guys send. It's don't think that I don't care and I'm not appreciative. I got really behind on all this stuff from having the government illness. Like couldn't get to everything. And I personally like to be the one to open those things. So I don't have anyone else do this for me. So this was sent actually in April, but I just opened it now. Hi, Tiffany. I hope you enjoy some ZFG swag that you inspired me to make. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and passion and who you are with those of us like me wanting to make an impact and a path in our lives. With love and appreciation, Alyssa Fox. Shout out, Alyssa. Girl, the fact that acts of service is my love language and this was so thoughtful. I so appreciate you. And I just want to say that to all my listeners. You guys, you've made this show. Ooh, I'm going to get emotional. You have made this show a top show in over 57 countries. And I didn't know anyone who was a podcaster. I had no one that hooked me up or helped me out. Okay. Like I had to pay for it. There was none of that was happening. There was no advertising. I had no built up social media anywhere else. I started completely from scratch, but really none of us start from scratch, right? Because we have our intellectual property, we have our life wisdom, we have our innate skills and gifts, and then we have our learned skills and gifts. So I started with that. But you know what I mean? It wasn't like I have some celebrity friend who could have given me a shout out or hooked me up somehow or was someone at Apple. This has been a process. This has been a journey. This has been a test of my patience. And I promise you, as long as you keep showing up from a place of service and doing what you love and helping the people and putting that as a priority over any profits, the abundance will come. I've seen it over and over again, not just in my life, but in lives of friends of mine and in thousands and thousands of people I've coached. So I think it's so important for you to hear that message. And maybe if there's something on your mind or a show perhaps that you really love that's helped you out, why not show a token of appreciation and go leave a written 5-star review of the show on Apple Podcasts? You can do an actual written review on there. Spotify, you can just tap the 5 stars. There's no way to write a review. These written reviews are really important to get the show out. It helps other people find the show more. And just take a few seconds. And if you recently got your nails done somewhere that you liked, you ate at a great restaurant or got a coffee somewhere, or even you were on an airline and there was a flight attendant who helped you put your bag up. It goes a long way to take just an extra few minutes to write a review, do a shout out on social media. It really makes someone's day, especially when you're in the grind of life and the stress of life. And this is the law of reciprocity, right? Like you're wanting the reviews yourself, you're wanting the clients, you're wanting the views, you're wanting the accolades, you're wanting the things. When was the last time you did that for somebody else? We can get so caught up in our own world and we don't take time to do these things that actually totally will delight someone's week who had a shit week. And at the time of this recording, because I had a batch record these episodes since this is a series, I had a really rough week. So even though I opened packages that were going all the way back from April, seeing that I have someone in my posse membership, this Alyssa Fox, delightful woman who used her creative ability and her creative efforts and actually handcrafted something. And you can tell, and I could feel in the energy of it, that she delighted in it and she knew I would. And it's super high quality on top of it. She knows I wasn't going to wear anything, janky. Shout out to you. And you have inspired me to even take more time in doing acts of service for people. And you deserved this shout out. And I appreciate you. Let's get into part 3 with the anxiously abundant childhood money imprint. Now, again, it does not matter the order of which you're listening to these episodes, but you do need to listen to all 4. I would rather you even listen again once they're all out and like binge them, because it is a lot to pick up on and you're going to recognize yourself for sure in one of the 4 imprints. But typically what happens, just like when I did the attachment theory applied to your relationship with money, that is a perfect, another 4-part series that went viral that goes with this. Also, my mother and father money wound 2-part series. If you want to do a full money binge and get your ass in order and really go all in on healing these money wounds so it stops impacting your life and costing you so much. It's costing you literally every day, and you get to change it. This is up to you now that you found me, right? Like now that you have found someone who can help you do it, and maybe you found other books and other people who also help you, and that's great too. Sometimes though, you might not resonate with someone else's style. And I know when it's a topic as sensitive as money can be, it's very difficult for someone to really absorb things around abundance, manifestation, healing money wounds, and getting into that money mindset for people who truly have money trauma around it, right? There's childhood dysfunction in there, childhood trauma. There's a whole mixed bag in there. And it's hard to learn money stuff from someone who doesn't get that. So you found me for a reason. Okay. I've got enough childhood trauma for a couple million people. So I really get it. With the anxiously abundant imprint, if I were to create any similarity, now these imprints I created, it's not like the attachment theory. That's a theory that was created, by a psychologist. This childhood money imprint, this is my intellectual property. Okay. And again, I'm not a therapist, and nor would I want to be. I have a therapist. And shout out to my therapist, man, because you guys hold space like nothing I've ever seen. So if I were to compare the anxiously abundant imprint to make an analogy, I would say, if you're familiar with the attachment style theory, or you go and listen, which you have to go listen to it, my 4-part series on it, it's like a disorganized attachment style, okay, where you can be anxious and avoidant. So with the anxiously abundant imprint, if you find yourself going, oh, I feel like I'm a little bit of this imprint and a little bit of that imprint, That is that's like a red flag to me, or a big red indicator. You could likely be anxiously abundant. Okay. So let's go through some of these. Growing up in this anxiously money minded household, it absolutely will affect your financial behaviors and attributes and your outlook and your energetic exchange with money as an adult. There's no way it can't. So I'm going to give you some symptoms. Okay. Chronic financial worry. And you're like, well, no shit. That seems obvious. Okay. Well, let me explain how it ties in. If your household was constantly stressed about money, you might now find yourself in a perpetual state of financial worry. Even when you have a stable income, you might always fear an unexpected expense or financial downturn in the economy or a catastrophe, which leads to that anxiety, right? It's a never enough feeling. And that used to be me. By the way, this is my imprint. Okay. We know I out myself on this show. So it's like, oh, I don't, I don't know if there's ever enough. I have to have this much in the bank and then I'll feel okay. And then I would move the marker, right? It'd be 100,000 in the bank. Then I got that. Then 500,000. That wasn't enough. 100,000. That wasn't, it was never enough because it had nothing to do with money. It had to do with I wasn't steady and solid and grounded in self acceptance with myself. So then, like, that money ends up being this external validator of if you're okay, which is very dangerous. I used to do this with weight as well. I can still slip into that, like with how I feel I look. Ooh, that's dangerous too. When you are relying on anything outside of yourself and your higher power as an indicator of if you're worthy, if you're okay, if you're a good person, if all that stuff, ooh, it's always a moving target because these are things outside your control. You cannot control all the things, no matter how hard you try. All right, another one, oversaving. And this one I touched on in the scarcity imprint. So some of these you're going to go, wait, but you said this is a symptom in this one, but there's a nuance to it. Okay. It's coming from a different energy. In a scarcity imprint, when you're over saving, it's there's not enough. There's not enough. There'll never be enough. There'll never be enough. Okay. When you're over saving in an anxiously abundant, notice how the word abundance in there. You're anxiously abundant. It's like you actually do have money. And I'm not saying you necessarily have millions and millions of dollars, but like you've got money. Like you're not at risk for losing your home. Okay. And that's kind of part of what can qualify you is when you actually look at it numerically, you really are okay. You might not be where you want to be, right? But you're certainly not at the level of risk of losing everything that you're anxiously telling yourself is going to happen, right? Which is what anxiety is. I'm diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and complex PTSD. We can come up with stories that are so far out of touch of where we're at, and that's part of the disorder. Okay. So growing up in a mindset that you must save for every possible emergency, right? Like, but what if this happens? And what if this happens? And we better do this. And oh, we better not invest in this. Oh, I better not hire Tiffany to help me grow my business. I better not buy Tiffany's, make more work less money course. It's $697. I better not buy that because like, what if it doesn't work for me? And what if I need that money because something comes up because something came up 5 months ago? And what if something comes up again? And then what am I going to do? And just absolutely basically money blocking, like cock blocking yourself from growth because you're perpetually like saving for Armageddon, right? Like the world's going to end. And so I need to always be preparing, and you're always on edge and you're always anxious. That puts you in that sense of fear energy. And then you're repelling all the abundance. That is the opposite of abundance. And here's what's fucked up about the anxiously abundant and why I have deemed it as the most challenging imprint to shift. It's absolutely shiftable. I've done it with countless people and myself. people who've worked with me privately in the posse, people who have done my Make More Work Less Money course, people who've come to my 2-day in-person mastermind. So it's possible. I'm just saying there's more roots with an anxiously abundant imprint. And here's why. Because you've gotten a lot of payoffs for this anxiously abundant behavior and thought process. I better not go on this trip. Oh, well, even though everyone else is going to go to this dinner or this concert or this event, I better not go do this. I should save for this. I need to save more. And so your bank account maybe has some good zeros in it because you've saved, or because you didn't leave a job or you didn't take a risk. And then you start looking at evidence of friends and family and even stories from people you don't know who took a risk and lost it all. Oh, thank God I didn't do that. Thank God I didn't buy that stock. Thank God I didn't end up like Samantha down the street. Oh my God. Like now they have almost nothing. You start looking for things that confirm that how you are responding is okay. And because you have some level of abundance, I mean, we all have abundance. I know you know that, right? But, literal material abundance, it can mess with your mind more because it seems like it's working, right? And that's what was tough for me is I was reluctant and stubborn to want to change, to want to work less to make more. Because what worked for me and got me abundance was working more and more and more and more. And I won awards from working more and more and more. I got bonuses, I got promotions, I got compliments, I had accolades, I had people going, oh my God, you work so much. And I thought that it was like a badge of honor. So I was getting seemingly payoffs for that behavior. But underneath it all, it's like a duck on water, right? They're paddling like crazy below, but it looks like they're gliding on the top. That's an anxiously abundant person. Well, this leads to my next one. It's the overworking, right? It's what I just said. It's the working more, doing more. I have to do more. I have to be more in order to even keep this up, in order to maintain the lifestyle we've created, in order to stay out of debt. We got ourselves out of debt. This is what's going to keep me out of debt. And I can't do anything different. If I do anything different, then I'm at a big risk here because I did this and this to get ourselves here. And doing something different, I could end up slipping back to where I was before. And then you get in this perpetual thing of I actually call it anxiously active manifesting, where you're overdoing, you're doing too much. And that is repelling the abundance in of itself, because that's an act of fear and scarcity. If you're in true abundance, you don't overdo, you don't overbe, you don't overperform, you don't overwork, because you know that you're doing enough and you know that you're being divinely supported and you know that you don't have to pay the piper and sacrifice at that level in order to have the gifts and the joy and the delight and the money and the things that life offers to you. You see what I'm saying? Yes, this shit runs deep. You want to go to another level with this, you need to get my Make More Work Less Money course. Okay. I talked about it a couple times already, but I didn't give you the link. It's projectmewithtiffany.com/make more work less. It is in the show notes. That would be your next step after this. You're like, I get it, Tiff. I see what this is costing me. I do not want to carry this anymore in my life and have this cost me any more mentally, emotionally, physically, financially. I'm done with this. I want to empower myself. What's my move? This is your move. And it's a $697 move. And you can figure that move out. I'm confident in you. And it's enough money where you're not going to blow off doing it. You're not going to put off doing it. And I've designed it so that your money story can be transformed in 7 days or less. You want to take this up an ante where you're like, I'm at zero fucks given, Tiff. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I refuse to live this way anymore. I need not even a jump start. Okay. Like my money course is definitely a jump start. I need someone to take a firecracker and stick it up my ass and like blow this old money story out of the water. And I need to be rebirthed into abundance. Then you need to come to my 2-day live event. There is not one person who attends. That's not true. There was one person who was miserable no matter what. And there was nothing anyone could do in this entire planet to make that person happy. There's always one of those people, always somewhere floating around. Okay. Like, and we all know those people, like they're determined for nothing to work. Aside from that person, there is no one that doesn't literally say, wow, I came here for X, Y, and Z, and I did not expect to be leaving with the full alphabet. Seriously. So remember, you got to be on my Secret Posse Weekly Digest list. And you can sign up for that again, going in the description here on YouTube or in the show notes. Don't mess around with that because, like I said, we're probably maxing this out at 30 spots and 5 are claimed from private clients because understandably, they do get initial first dibs on everything. And I haven't even rolled this out to my posse members yet, and they get second dibs. All right. So make sure you're in there if you're at that spot. Underutilizing financial tools. Anxiety about financial loss can lead to underutilizing financial tools like credit cards, business loans, insurance, things like PayPal credit, even doing an actual like borrowing from a family member, but with agreed upon terms to pay them back. You might stick to keeping money in like just a low interest savings account. You might just have you hoard cash. And what's happening is you are now missing out on major potential growth opportunities by doing that. Passive income opportunities, opportunities for your money to make money. And then you go, but what if I put it in the stock market? And even if it's a diversified portfolio, and then, but the stock market goes down, and you're like the person who puts money under your mattress. That's someone who ends up working to the bone until the day they fucking die. If you do not learn how to make more and work less, there is no way to have true financial freedom for yourself. And I know some of you listening are nodding your head because you either watched a parent do it or you're currently doing it now. And that's the other thing with this, all of these imprints. What you witnessed and picked up a parent, your caregiver doing, behaviors, nuances, even without you realizing it, you're doing it now. And when you pause for a moment, even listening to these episodes, it's like, oh my God, I'm actually doing a version of what my grandparents did. I'm doing a version of what my mom did. It looks different. The circumstances are different. Some of the details are different, but really underneath it all, I am operating like, in the scarcity imprint, in the feast or famine, in the anxiously abundant. I'm doing it because this is what happens. It's kind of like when therapists will say, yep, I'm dating my father, I'm dating my mother. It's like we subconsciously recreate things like that and relationships like that from our childhood in order to work through them and to change the story. And it happens subconsciously, and we can't change it till we're conscious of it. So these episodes are designed to make you conscious. And then the what the hell to do about it is in my Make More Work Less Money course, or quite frankly, inside my posse membership, coming to my 2-day live event. Okay. This one I know is big. I know it's big for you guys. I know. Avoiding financial discussions. If money was a constant source of tension at home, you might now avoid discussing financial matters with partners, with family, even with an accountant, even with employees. You have a business. This can lead to misunderstandings in relationships. This can lead to resentment. This can lead to all sorts of drama. This can lead to a lot of money loss, a lot of stress, this causes, I mean, what's the number one cause of divorce? It's money. That's what I'm saying. It's wild to me that truly one of the top stressors of all categories in the world is money. The number one reason for divorce is money. But people's number one priority and what they spend money on and working on healing is not money. People will buy supplements, gadgets, gazmos, injections to get skinnier. They will inject their face with Botox. I'm laughing because I'm also calling myself out. They'll inject their face with Botox. They'll get the lashes. They'll get the nails. They'll buy 5 gazillion outfits. They'll pay for cocktails, all going trips to Disney, all sorts of shit, but not invest in the number one thing that would absolutely change your life and also prevent a great deal of pain. Really insane when you hear it spelled out like that, right? So if you heard your parents fighting a lot about money, or you had a parent that came home and they had a tumultuous job, or like the boss was mad and now the boss isn't mad, and then their mood changed all based on the boss, or based on if they got a bonus or not, or based on if they got the promotion or not. You've associated money with being stressful, money with being tense, money with being scary, money with being icky. Money is something to avoid talking about. Some of you were even taught that to speak about money is inappropriate. I was raised this way, which is really weird considering how flashy my mom was. But I was taught that a proper lady, which I laugh as I'm wearing a ZFG hat, zero fucks given. Maybe this is why I enjoy an F bomb. Probably. I was raised very strict. There was no swear. I wasn't even allowed to say shut up. There was no swearing. That's probably what happened to me. You know how you tell someone like you can't do something so much it makes you want to do the opposite? That's gotta be part of it. I was taught that it was impolite to talk about money, to ask people how much they made, to reference how much people they made. And I understand that is kind of gross. It's like asking someone their age right off the bat. Like that's not right. So I do understand some of those social graces when it comes to that, but it went so far as like, well, if you keep telling someone you shouldn't talk about money, quite frankly, even the age thing, now that I'm saying it, you shouldn't talk about age. Well, now there's a stigma that there's something wrong with a certain age, that it implies someone would have something to be embarrassed about or ashamed about. In fact, now the more I'm even saying it, these are some fucked up things that some of us were taught. Think about that. Who cares? Like even asking someone, oh, what size are those pants? I might want to get them. Like, why does it matter? Like, either why is this even a topic? It's implying that there would be shame in saying you're a 14 versus a 4. You know what I mean? Or that you're 60 versus 25. Who fucking cares? Right? And it's the money thing also implies that kind of a thing. So if you were raised in that, it can also be, ooh, it's impolite. We better not talk about it. I coach a lot of women who come to me that, and you've seen women in the public eye, these housewives, like meaning the Bravo housewives, who didn't question their husbands and just signed those tax documents and ended up in prison for it. There's a couple reality people that one's still serving time by not asking questions. Oh, I better not ask. I better not, let the man deal with the finances. There's a lot of that stuff in there. Okay. And let's move on to now difficulty trusting financial institutions. So if there was a distrust of authority figures, when it comes to money, like financial authorities, big corporations, banks, financial advisors, investment firms, or even a wealthy family member. Okay, I love the wealthy Uncle Joe. Okay, like wealthy Uncle Joe, he's a know-it-all. He thinks he knows everything just because he got lucky, and it happened to be a housing boom when he grew his asphalt business. I love when I try to do different voices for this shit. I start making myself laugh. And if you saw a lot of that, heard a lot of that growing up, you might have a general distrust for people who have money, have a lot more money than you, have more perceived authority, maybe like a boss, a CEO of a company, a financial institution, even certain like business sectors. And this can prevent you from making informed financial decisions or even paying for seeking professional advice from credible people because there's a lack of trust. Then you try to figure it out and DIY it and do it on your own. That's why it took me 5 years with my first business before I hired anyone for help, because I didn't realize this at the time, but I got the messaging of, if you don't do it, no one else is going to do it right. You've got to do it yourself. No one's going to care about your money and your business like you do. You can't trust anyone but yourself. I grew up hearing so much of that. So I absorbed that and I acted accordingly because I wasn't even aware of this imprint. Financial dependence. Witnessing financial anxiety can lead to seeking financial dependence on a partner or a family member for security. So this will limit, obviously, your financial empowerment, your options, your freedom, your autonomy, your own true competence in being able to fully care for yourself as a grown adult. I see this a lot. I'm seeing this a lot. I gotta say it. I mean, I know I'm a geriatric millennial, but I'm seeing it a lot with I would say, young and mid-aged millennials in particular, a lot of it, where there's 30-year-olds that are still living at home, where I know a 35-year-old who is still has almost 100% of everything paid for her parents. And this is, someone who is very capable. This isn't someone who needs extra care or is like mentally or physically impaired. I'm talking fully capable, because when there was so much anxiety that was around making the money, even if the family was rich, okay, where it was like they were overworking, they were anxiously abundant, they had to constantly go on business trips, they were exhausted, there was drama here, someone stole from them here, this and this happened, even if it was innocent, even if they were you had a parent or parents that were entrepreneurs and they just expressed all the entrepreneurial drama. You don't know as a kid that that's just normal venting and drama of having a business, or even normal venting and drama of having a job, right? And your little kid energy, right, like took that in and absorbed that innocently as it's being scary. It's scary to make money. It's scary to have to rely only on yourself for money. And so then you can end up glomming on and staying in relationships and partnerships and jobs far past their due date. It's like a codependency. I can't make it on my own. I'm afraid I won't be able to. And then I don't want to lose this lifestyle I have. I like this lifestyle and I can't do this on my own. I won't be able to have the same lifestyle without this person or without this thing or without this job. And then it ends up creating so much shame and so much guilt and so much low self-esteem, which causes the anxiety, because that doesn't feel good to not know you can do it yourself and be self-reliant. And I know it doesn't feel good. And I'm not saying this to call any of you out to feel bad. I coach so many of you. I know it doesn't feel good. And I know you don't want it that way. And then you blame yourself for being that in that situation. And then that just makes it worse. You can't blame your way to a solution. You've got to work on this money stuff. And then that will allow that shame to lift. You'll be able to transform that mindset into an abundant one. And then from there, you'll be able to take abundant actions from a sense and a place of grounded and rooted power, not from a sense of scarcity and anxiousness. And I have to. And this goes to my last one of the low financial competence, right? Growing up in a household where money was a constant source of stress can result in this. You might doubt your ability to manage money effectively. Oh, I'm not good with money. I'm not good at math. I don't know what I'm doing. And this can lead again to poor financial decisions or reliance on others for financial guidance. This allows a lot of people to get scammed, myself included. There was a lot of messaging that was implied. It wasn't really said, it was nuanced, okay? That my mom went to Harvard. And I definitely was not naturally book smart. Okay. I'm sure I had some form of a learning disability rooted in or tied to all the trauma I was experiencing at home. My guess is it was probably tough for me to focus and concentrate and remember shit when I'm being abused every day, right? Like, sense. And but my mom loved that. Really, there's no way to trump. If you look at education, right? There's no way. Who's going to trump Harvard? And the chances of me ever even going to Ivy League were literally slim to none. And so I somehow came up with a thing that I'm not good with math. I'm not good at math. And I've said it in my podcast many times. And listen, certainly not a mathematician, but my joke is I'm good with money. But I used to say I'm bad with math. And I switched it to I might not be great at like conventional math. Like my ass isn't going to do long division, but do I need to fucking do long division? No, but I'm great with money. So that was one of the shifts that I made. But what happened is when I had that first $1 million in the bank, and I did an episode that a lot of you guys loved where I shared this whole story of this happening, where I had $1 million in the bank by the time I was 30 because of this anxiously abundant imprint. This is what I'm telling you why this is so costly for you to not take action and invest in working and healing on this shit. Is I was like, I don't know what to do with this. I've never had this kind of money. Like, I didn't go to Harvard. I'm not good with numbers. And so, long story short, 'cause you can listen to another episode on it, but I ended up doing exactly what I'm saying here. I relied on someone else for their full financial judgment. I ignored red flags because what do I know? Like, I'm not good with numbers. This person went to another Ivy League school, which also made me go, oh, well, like they know better than me. I put them like on a pedestal, ignored red flags, and I lost almost all of it in 3 months. And there was nothing I could do because my ass signed the, 72-page financial documents and agreements without reading it. Because what did I know? I'm an idiot. That's what I was saying to myself at the time. Like, well, what do I know? Like, I'm kind of like this clueless, naive little fawn. I don't know anything. Like, this person knows everything. And this is how it gets us in trouble. This is how what's her name from New Jersey Housewives? Is it Judice? I feel like that's her last name. How she ended up in prison. I don't obviously know all the behind the scenes. And then there's the Chrisley family. There's probably more to unpack there, but I do believe a lot of people, men and women, get themselves in trouble and end up signing up for get rich quick schemes, pyramid schemes, some of these network marketing companies that are full of shit, some of these coaches that are full of shit that promise you the world and say all this, the seas are going to part. It's like without you really having to do anything. It's like all fantasy marketing. You've fallen for it. I have too. I've bought a lot of that stuff because of being anxiously abundant. And I'm giving myself self-compassion. And I hope you are too, with wherever you are in this series of relating to whatever it is. Give yourself compassion, going, I can see where this came from. This wasn't all of mine. It is my job now to unpack it and heal it. But this wasn't all mine. I inherited this. I absorbed this. I picked it up. Don't hang yourself on the hook with it. That just creates more shame and actually keeps you stuck. And we're not about this life, okay? Over here on ProjectME, we are going to have a rich babe summer, okay? So you know what to do. Make sure you're signed up for the secret posse. Get in to make more, work less. That's your next move. Binge the show. Leave a damn review so I know that you listen to this series. For the love of God, you can take 30 seconds and leave a written review on Apple. And I know you absolutely can tap 5 stars on Spotify and any other player. And share this with someone who you know will appreciate it, likes digging through healing work, the therapy stuff, the childhood stuff. There's a lot of people who shared that attachment theory 4-part series and the mother and father money wounds with their therapists. And I have therapists now that refer clients to these episodes, which is very flattering and appreciated. So I hope that you're getting a lot out of this series. It's vulnerable for me to share this level of my life's work and intellectual property versus me giving my interpretation or spin on an existing theory by some fancy, well-educated person. But that's part of my anxiously abundant stuff, right? Because my intellectual property, my wisdom, my life's work, everything that I've studied, all the accumulation of all the things is just as powerful, is just as potent, might even be more relatable than someone who fucking went to Harvard. So the fuck what? And zero fucks given. Zero fucks given. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.